This is Coach Lee, and I'm going to show you how to stop anxiety. And this is going to be really good for putting together a plan for when you feel anxious or when you see a situation coming that causes anxiety in you. You'll be able to remember this plan, refer back to it. Hopefully you'll write it down or put it in your phone and keep it somewhere so that you'll be able to access it and go through it when you start feeling these feelings, this dread, worry, and anxiety. The first thing you can do is to make an outcome chart. And what that simply is asking yourself, what's the worst that could happen from this situation? What's the best that could happen from this situation? What's likely to happen in this situation? And a lot of that is going to take thinking and some guesswork, but it at least lets you see what the outcome could be, because a lot of times people will be anxious about something, and when they realize this is the worst that could happen or this is what's most likely to happen, they are able to feel some relief and some control, even though all control is an illusion. When you actually know that the odds are in your favor for something happening that's not going to negatively impact you a whole lot, it helps to feel relief and control at least as much as you can. And just listing what outcomes are possible will give you some relief to actually have it written down on paper. It's very powerful to write things, and phones are nice. They're convenient because we have them with us. But if you will commit yourself to writing some things down, even to journaling about your anxiety, you're going to find it's going to be helpful. You're going to be able to look back at it, and there's something powerful about writing things down. And so, again, I suggest you write down what is the worst thing that could happen, what's the best thing that could happen, and what's most likely to happen. Just have that chart. You may be able to refer to it in memory when you get to the situation, but if you write it down, it will help you have it in your mind, and it will bring you relief and some pause from this anxiety. Something else you can do is to educate yourself on what anxiety is and remind yourself of that. So you're basically going to talk yourself down by explaining to yourself and reminding yourself what's going on. Because anxiety is actually when your body starts producing the fight or flight chemicals. It's that response when your body believes that you're in danger. Your mind and your body are conspiring together. And so a lot of what you're feeling is not real. And I'm not saying that it's not valid or that you don't really feel it. What I'm saying is that it's based on something that may or may not be real. And oftentimes, especially if you struggle with anxiety, it's not real. And I know that's part of the frustration, is that a lot of times it's difficult to pinpoint what is causing this anxiety, what is making me worry or think about these things when anything could happen, and why am I choosing to focus on the negative? And I get that that's a lot of the process, is working through those things. But remind yourself, my mind and my body are preparing me for a fight that I'm not even going to have, or that I don't even know if I'm going to have. Or if you refer back to your list, it could be one of these three things. It could be the best case, the worst case, or the most likely. And so remind yourself that all these sensations, these feelings in your body are from chemicals. And your body thinks it's about to have to fight or flee, or that you're about to endure some horrible trauma. And a lot of times the anxiety is worse than what actually happens. And sometimes when you know that, you even become anxious about anxiety, and that becomes the problem and not so much even the thing that you initially thought was causing it. And so it's very important to learn about this so you can kind of talk yourself down and remind yourself, what I'm feeling is not real. I'm not having to run away right now. I'm not having to fight right now. I'm just sitting here. I'm just driving in my car. I'm at dinner with some friends. Just remind yourself of that. At first, you may not feel better, but as the realization sets in, most people report that they do feel better, at least some. And that's what we're going for. We're going for improvement. And when we add several of these things together, it can be significant. Remember, if you need a coaching call for your anxiety and someone can walk you through how to get past this, to overcome this in your life, to be able to function better day to day, go to myanxietypeace.com and you can set up a coaching call with one of my staff members. That's myanxietypeace.com. Number 3 on the list is to practice mindfulness. And what that means is that you force yourself, or you guide your own self in staying in the moment. And so when you find your thoughts drifting forward, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, even years, you pull yourself back to right here. Just stay in the seconds in front of you. And it's amazing how as you do that, you will find yourself continuing to drift. Your thoughts will sneak away from you. They'll get 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 2 minutes ahead of time. You'll start thinking about tomorrow. And if you can learn to reel yourself in to right here, stay in this moment, even if this is about athletics and you're going to be playing a game, you're going to be having some kind of contest and there's a winner and a loser, or there's ranks and you want to do well, you've got to stay in the moment to actually achieve the small things that will get that outcome. If you start thinking only about the scoreboard and that's your focus, you won't be able to achieve as well in the moments, the execution of those things, the tackle, the block, the return serve, whatever it is. Of course, you know you want to do well. Of course, you know you want to win and score a lot. So you don't have to think about that. That's a given. Sort of like in golf. You don't have to think that you want to make the putt. You don't have to think about making the putt. That's a given. We know you want to make the putt. So you're thinking about just the feelings, the technique, just that motion. The ball will be struck and you will make an effort to hit the ball into the hole. You don't have to and shouldn't focus and obsess on the outcome, because if you do that, you're too far out. You need to focus on the moment. And the same is true with anxiety and practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness is what is going on in this exact moment. And you observe your breath, you observe your feelings, even that anxiety, and you try to put yourself in the place of being an outside observer. So you're watching yourself and you're not going to respond. You're just going to say, what am I feeling? What does it feel like in my stomach? What does it feel like on the left side of my stomach, the right side? What does it feel like in my chest? What does it feel like in my throat? And you're just slowly turning your gaze, your mind's eye, to these areas of your body. And you're just going to observe what you feel. And you can then turn your attention to things around you. Maybe there's a painting in the room and you're going to look at the leaves on the tree. You're going to look at the waves on the ocean. You're going to look at the animals, their paws, their tail, their ears. You're going to look at the details and you're going to embrace this distraction of just being amazed by the small things. And a lot of times we have become so busy and so focused into the future, and such a fast pace is what is normal to most of us, that we don't even see a lot of the beauty in life and paintings and nature in people. And that's part of the reason we have so much anxiety. If you can bring yourself into the moment and be focused on what's going on right now in the present as it happens, and stop trying to think ahead, you will help yourself out greatly. And as you get deeper into this, you will even want to try to observe your own thoughts as though you are an outside observer. And it's amazing how if you can learn to do this, you can actually stifle some of that anxious response, because an outside observer doesn't have as much invested. And so if you learn to observe yourself and what you're feeling, especially if you know that this is a much more intense response than is required or deserved or warranted in this situation, then looking at it from an outside standpoint, picturing yourself even floating above yourself, looking down, watching what's going on, can be a pretty powerful thing. It can slow things down and it can ease some of that flight or fight response. And so I really encourage you to try that out. It's mindfulness, and it's basically staying in the moments, in the present, and observing what is happening. Number 4 is to use distraction techniques. And I've already talked about some, but what you want to do is train yourself to focus on other things. This is especially true if you know that the situation does not warrant all this anxiety. And it basically allows you to free yourself from being locked in to this thing that's making you so anxious, or to this situation. And so one thing you can do is you can count down from 100 by threes and see how far you can go. And if you make a mistake, maybe you have to start over. Or you just be nice to yourself and you figure out each segment of that. So it's 100, 97, 94, 91, and you just keep slowly going down like that. And it's amazing how it will help you to change your focus, to move that energy over to something else, and allow yourself to be fascinated by it, to be focused on whatever this other thing is. And it could be that you take up something that you're passionate about, that you turn to whenever you have anxiety. And maybe it's one of those paint by number canvases where you actually are going to get to this point where you have this painting that's an actual picture that you did. If you're good enough to paint without paint by number already, then you can certainly do that. A lot of people have turned to art, to painting specifically, to be able to help them out with some of this. And it's just something that when you are feeling the need, that you go do this, that you focus on this other thing. And it can certainly be other things. It can be music, even taking walks. Walking your dog has been a powerful thing for a lot of people. Whenever they feel that anxiety, it does burn off some energy. It allows you to see some scenery, and you can practice some of the things that I've already mentioned. And of course, I've talked about breathing techniques as being not only something that will help you and be good for you and help with the anxiety, but it's also a great distraction. Some people really take it seriously, that they are going to follow the count that I talk about, which is the 4-4-4, where you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold for 4 seconds, and then you breathe out for 4 seconds. And some people take it really seriously, like they are allowing their inner perfectionist to focus on this breathing technique. They are going to get it right, and they're going to do it for 10 minutes. And a lot of times that's a breath of fresh air, and it's a distraction technique that you can use when you are feeling that anxiety. Before I get to the next tip, take a quick second and subscribe to this channel so you can be notified when I have more videos like this that can help you overcome anxiety and panic attacks and to manage your emotions. So the 5th tip is to really try the humor approach. And so that would be where you do silly things, like you maybe have a magic button. You could even draw it on a piece of paper, just some circle, and you can just push the button and say, let me push my magic button and fix the problems. Or you have a friend, and this friend you will call and you have an arrangement with already. They know that you're dealing with anxiety. They know that this helps you, and you just say, hey, I've got this issue going on and I need you to fix it for me. And their job is only to say, all right, 1 second, done. And you say, okay, thanks a lot. And you move on to something else. It's a silly thing, but you'll be surprised at how effective it can be. And in other videos I have in my channel on getting an ex back after a breakup or moving on if that's necessary, I talk about directed laughter, which is where you laugh like some supervillain or like Dr. Evil in Austin Powers. And so it's just like a something like that, where you're really, really going to embellish this laughter. And sometimes it doesn't make sense in the situation, but you will usually feel better. You'll smile. It's amazing how it can work really well, to the point that some people have told me that they have liked it so much that they've even gotten a little bit annoying around their friends because they do it so much. And they're like, I don't care, I feel better. But it's basically where you just choose to laugh. And it can be a fake laugh at first, where you're just acting the part. But even that can help you feel better, and it can lighten the situation. And your body is actually programmed when you smile and when you even make the motions of laughter, even if it's fake. Your body produces some chemicals, including dopamine, that actually help you feel better. And so directed laughter, choosing to laugh like a supervillain in the situation, is something I highly recommend, and it can help you to stop anxiety. I hope these tips will be helpful to you as you work to stop anxiety.